Screenagers, welcome back yet again. It's another episode of the Canon, your favorite movie podcast. As always, the one and only movie podcast providing you with a watch list of the most essential movies ever made. My name is Raf, and we yet again have another essential movie. We're going to be talking The Dirty Dozen today, and joining me, Canon favorite, he's back yet again. We can't get rid of him, but we don't want to get rid of him. Mr. Bob Cram. How are we doing?
Doing all right. How are you? How are
I'm
you
good.
doing? That's not awkward at all.
Yeah, I'm swell. Happy to be back. We're
Yeah, me too.
recording on a Saturday morning, which I feel like is like our time. I feel like we
Right.
do a lot of good recordings on Saturday mornings.
Yeah. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Got the coffee going.
Yeah,
Nerd mug.
you can maybe hear the coffee in my voice. I feel like I need some tea to balance it out, but that's fine. We'll deal with coffee voice for
Yeah.
today. And it kind of works because we're talking about a dirty movie, right? With some dirty fellas.
Some dirty fellas. I'd actually forgotten that they are actually filthy for much of the film.
Yeah, it's.
I thought it was just a euphemism. No.
It's one of those movies where the title is said at one point.
Yeah.
And you do the Leo in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood point thing. Hey,
Yeah.
There it is.
Yes.
Yeah, quite fun. I feel like we have a lot to get to with this movie.
Right.
I don't have a lot of bantering for us to do on the front end. Unless you've got anything, I feel like we can really just jump into this bad boy.
No, let's do it. I mean, it's right there. Let's take it.
It's
so I don't know what that is. I'm sorry.
No, I like it. All right, so Dirty Dozen, 1967, Robert Aldrich directed. Great cast, insane cast. Great anti-war movie, which we'll sort of get into that whole question of it. But Bob, for you, when did you first come across these Dirty Dozen, dirty boys, dirty dudes?
So, dirty dudes, dirty boys makes it sound. Yeah, that's we don't want to go there.
No.
So I think we were talking about it before the podcast started, but like when cable first started getting big in the late 70s, early 80s, I was a kid, and they didn't have any original content, so they just jammed the airwaves with whatever they could license. And there were a ton of, like, that's where I saw a ton of horror movies, like classic horror movies, but it's also, they had a crap ton of war movies and like 1950s and 60s TV shows and that sort of thing. But most of the war movies that I saw like on TBS or in the afternoon, sometimes sitting with my grandfather, sometimes not. But they were just like the background noise to a lot of things. Like, I don't know if I sat and like if it was really good, like I know I saw Tora, but I don't remember anything about that movie. But like Bridge Over the River Kwai, which we already did, I remember seeing that with my grandfather, and I think this was one of those that I saw with him as well. Yeah. So I think this was pretty heavily edited for cable in the early 80s to be shown in the afternoon or whatever. So it was a little bit less antisocial and a little bit more gung-ho back then. Watching it this time, and it's been decades since I saw this movie last. I'd either forgotten huge chunks of it or hadn't seen huge chunks of it. So it was kind of a revelation to watch it this time. Yeah. It was both familiar and new.
So. Before we get into the rest of the movie, I kind of want to pause on this whole idea of like first coming to movies on cable and then going back and rewatching them and them sort of feeling familiar, but also kind of foreign because you're not always totally watching. And sometimes they're they're edited, and you know, I I hate to be this person, so we'll just caveat it on the front end with that. But this is an experience that kids these days don't have,
It's true.
which is a very, I think it's a really special way of finding movies. Of course, it kind of limits what you're able to find based on what is licensed to those cable networks. But honestly, on a Saturday afternoon, there was kind of nothing better than flipping to TBS or TNT or whatever and discovering a movie. And maybe you missed the first 15 minutes of it, but then you get locked in. And that's how you discover Die Hard or Saving Private Ryan or The Dirty Dozen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that was, I feel like there's so much access now.
Mhm.
There's so many opportunities to find exactly what you're looking for. So the niches get narrower and narrower. But in the early days of cable and the early days of like Netflix, when you could finally like rent movies, you took whatever you could get, whatever was available.
Mhm.
So, maybe your basketball game got rained out. That was my experience. Like we had a hoop set up and we would play all afternoon if we could, but if it rained,
Mhm.
troop into the house, what's on cable? And it's, Creature from the Black Lagoon or The Dirty Dozen or whatever. So it
Yeah.
was whatever we could entertain ourselves with at the time. And yeah, you saw things, you got to see things that you never would have otherwise. And yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Now you just like, oh, let's watch, One Piece
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever, whatever your jam
Mhm.
is, you go ahead and you can find it directly. You don't have to just deal with whatever's being shown to you.
Yeah. There there's a really odd simple pleasure in just taking whatever is shown to you. And also you mentioned, watching a lot of these movies with your grandfather. And a lot of times for me when it was flipping through, it was either with my parents or with one of my older siblings. And Scarface, we change the channel and Scarface is on. And
Oh my
whoever I'm
God.
sitting with, they're like, "Oh my God, you haven't seen Scarface? This is a classic." And I'm like, "No, I haven't seen Scarface. I'm 12."
Yeah.
And then I end up watching Scarface with my mom or something.
Oh my
And
God.
again, it's an edited version of it. I missed the first 15 minutes, so I'm like kind of lost. But there is that like great communal sense
Yeah.
of finding something, and then like movies meaning a lot to you because you watch it for the first time with a
Yeah.
family member just on a whim because it happened to be on TV, as opposed to the, I don't want to say that it's fully intentional, because a lot of times when you open up a streaming service, you're just sort of like scrolling through. But I do wonder how
Yeah.
much uh you know the young ones these days are missing, in that, oh, you just stumble across something and the person who you're sitting with tells you this is something that's worth watching, so you guys watch it together and then have a lovely experience, as opposed to, okay, we're scrolling through Netflix to either find a very particular movie that we are looking for, or to see whatever is on. And most of the time, if you're doing the latter, you scroll and you scroll and you scroll, and then you don't watch anything, or you
Yeah.
put on the same TV show that you've seen 8,000 times.
Yeah. Yep.
So, um,
Yeah.
there is a bit that's lost, I think, in.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like, and I know Sailor and I have briefly discussed this before, where there's a certain level of you get to see classics that you would never choose for your, like I've seen Kramer versus Kramer like 3 or 4 times, not because I really like Dustin Hoffman and I need to see that movie. It was
Yeah.
because that was the new movie that was on the rotation that particular month or whatever. And so, oh boy. So here we're going to watch that again or whatever. So, and so you're not forced to watch anything anymore. You're not
Yeah.
stuck watching anything anymore. So in some ways that's great. You find your jam and you are able to do that and pursue your own interests. But like if I'd been able to just watch horror movies since
Mm,
I was like 8 or whatever, then that's what I would have done. I wouldn't have had this breadth of experience in film.
yeah.
So
Yeah, sometimes it's nice to be sort of challenged a little bit and forced to step outside of your comfort zone, even if they are movies that are widely considered to be classics that are widely enjoyed by the masses. But yeah, if you're sort of, for lack of a better term, forced into watching those instead of just being able to access the things that you want to access, and like you said, the niches become smaller and smaller and smaller. And obviously, people having access to more and more movies than ever before is a great thing. People are discovering things that they otherwise would not have discovered. But there's, just like anything in life, there's a balance to it.
Yeah.
And every now and then, I don't have cable anymore. I am a cord cutter, but every now and then I sort of yearn for the days where I can just flip through the channels and catch a movie halfway through. And now for me, it's like sitting with one of my nieces and saying, "Oh my God, you've never seen this? We got to watch it."
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and passing on the joy of movies that way. So
That's awesome.
that's our little
Yeah.
a little rant about the joys of watching movies on cable TV.
Yep.
Especially for the Dirty Dozen. So,
And we've lost the Gen Z audience at this point. So.
yeah.
I feel attacked.
Hopefully not. I think Gen Z is like more generally open to some of these ideas than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
It's not something that they're like, that they know and is familiar to them, but I think some of these ideas are things that they are more willing to sit with and think about and maybe appreciate and understand than
Nice.
than we like to give them credit for. But I don't know. I like to stay optimistic about all things.
Yeah. No,
So.
absolutely. Like my niece is she loves all kinds of different movies, all kinds of different music for that matter. But I remember sitting in the basement of this house being like, okay, we're going to watch, it actually was Creature from the Black Lagoon. She was like, it's a black and white movie. And, like 15 minutes in, she was like, totally wrapped. And so she actually enjoys watching some black and white movies now. I think a part of that, because of that experience. So.
I can't tell you how I got to the Dirty Dozen, or if I had seen it before this viewing. I think I did once, or maybe like half watched it when I was in early high school. I want to say, sort of going through a phase of wanting to expose myself to older movies, even though I wasn't fully locked in on watching older movies and like fully appreciating them, but I was like attempting to see them a bit. So Bob, for you, before this rewatch, for this recording, when had you last seen the Dirty Dozen?
It's got to be early 90s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I mean it's been a while because at the end of the VHS, well, like early 90s is not, it is smack in the middle of the VHS DVD was going to start, sort of thing. And we still had lots of cable stuff, but I got married in the 90s and movie choices became much more fraught at that point because we had to like choose something we could both agree on.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it was, okay, you get to pick this time, I get to pick next time, sort of thing. And that was actually good for me too, because our tastes were so different. So we got to see, she got to see,
Creature from
things
Black
like
Lagoon.
Creature from, which I'm just going to keep. I'm changing my recommendation. She got to see stuff like, I don't know, Silence of the Lambs. And I got to see things like Sleepless in Seattle, which, neither of us would necessarily have chosen those things, but we got to see different things. But so it probably would have been I'm stuck at home by myself. I'm just flipping through. Oh, Dirty Dozen's on. Okay. We're in the part where they're doing their training now, but I know what happened.
Yeah.
I can watch it. So, but like I said before, I feel like that version that I saw on cable was heavily edited.
Mm-hmm.
Not just mostly for violence, I would say, but so when I watched it this time around, I was definitely going, did I see this before? Did I
Yeah.
know there's a lot more people getting shot than I remember from I mean, it's a war movie. People are going to
Mm-hmm.
get shot, but it was definitely a different experience this time around.
Yeah. It is a surprisingly brutal movie. It's it's not, gory or anything by 2026 standards, but
Right.
in terms of how the violence is presented, it is extremely brutal. Which I'm thinking, do we want to circle back to that, or do we want to just talk about that now? Let's maybe just talk about it now.
Yeah.
The sort of like how the violence is presented, and I think that'll also give us an opportunity to talk about some of the like context around when this movie was made, both like in
Right.
Hollywood and in America more at large and generally,
Right.
which I think the two um, inform each other. So, yeah, like w- what exactly about the violence here is sort of startling when you compare it to maybe war movies that came out before?
Right. So, I mean, like right off, the very first scene in the movie is a hanging.
Yeah.
And they just show this guy dropping towards the camera, and it feels probably more visceral than it actually is on screen. But I don't remember that scene.
Hmm.
When I first saw that movie, I think the first scene is Reisman walking into the office and talking to George Kennedy's character. So they just start off with, "This is what you're in for. We're talking about." It serves two purposes. One, this is the kind of violence we're going to do. It's we're not going to shy away. It's not going to be some guy going
Yeah.
and falling off screen or whatever. We're going to show blood. We're going to show death, but it also serves as like a constant reminder. This is what like 7 of the guys face.
Hmm.
You know, half of the Dirty Dozen have this to look forward to if they don't do this mission.
Yeah.
Uh, and then there's stuff in the middle, but honestly, it's the final combat sequence. The last like 30 minutes of the movie
Hmm.
just ratchets it up. People sacrifice themselves. People are
Yeah.
shot. I know there was a review by Roger Ebert
Hmm.
that just complained. He was like, well, if you want to go see a movie in which men and women are set on fire
Yeah.
and run around, then that's not in the movie. The
It's a weird
concept of it is in the
review.
movie. It is a weird review. It feels like he saw a movie that we didn't
Yeah.
quite see. So,
He's complaining
but
about how kids in Chicago are going down to Skid Row and lighting people on fire, which
yeah,
is like, yeah, certainly not great. That's but
yep.
why I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
There was a lot of concern about the collapse of civilization in the 60s, I
yeah.
feel like, and it
Was
was
he writing
just
that
getting
review in
going.
the 60s or is that in like the 80s?
No, that's his contemporaneous
That's
review.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So that's I mean, and then the next year, he must have felt like he was going crazy because the next year, of course, 1968, he goes to a matinee and sees Night of the Living Dead with a bunch of like 10-year-olds.
Hmm.
So he just must have felt like the cinema world was just, yeah, we're just going to do all of the gory
Yeah.
horribleness now. So he definitely had an attitude about it. So
The
yeah,
downfall of society or something. It was a lot. Yeah, it's
yep,
very like pearl clutchy
yes,
from him.
yep. But the violence. I think the problem that people had with the violence at the time, and it's fairly tame for us now,
Hmm.
is that it was not done in a melodramatic way. not melodrama. It wasn't done in a way that kind of like exalted the people going through it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was dirty. It
Yeah.
was, you know, unpleasant. People die for no reason, just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or taking the wrong chances, or bad luck.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I feel like it was more, a lot of the people involved in this had been in World War II,
Mm-hmm.
and because the movies post World War II had kind of like valorized all of the actions and activities that people had gone through, to the point where like some movies, and I can't remember the name of the movie, but some movies had us winning battles that we absolutely lost in
Yeah.
World War II. And so it was, if somebody died, you know, in the course of the movie, it was either they were a bad guy and they deserved it, or they were heroically saving, you know, hundreds of people or whatever. And this
Yeah.
was like, these are people doing a bad job, bad people doing a bad job for possibly bad reasons,
Yeah. Yeah.
in a bad way. And yeah, so it wasn't heroic
Mm-hmm.
in its violence. There is heroism, and there is this camaraderie that builds up, but the violence itself is not glamorized. So
No. Which is, yeah, I mean, like you're saying, it's interesting as a World War II movie that this is about a bunch of guys who are on a mission to kill a bunch of high-ranking Nazis, which is like, okay, yeah, that's a good thing. That's
yeah,
something that we can all get behind. Um, but because of the context of being a movie made in 1967 and like where it is that Hollywood is trending at that
right.
time, it then sort of flips that whole idea on its head, um, to the point where then the violence becomes more shocking than it would be otherwise. And a lot of times the violence feels like kind of pointless, which is again when you're talking about war, like yeah, a lot of the deaths in war aren't big and dramatic and operatic. It's just like, damn, Billy caught a stray bullet and now he's dead.
Yeah,
You know, Donald Sutherland is standing at the wrong place at the wrong time, and now he's gone. Um,
yeah,
yeah, John Cassavetes thinks he's in the clear, and then he's not.
yeah. That's a
Yeah,
pivotal moment in that movie to me. Honestly, that death,
yeah,
that's the most pointless death,
hmm
and that's also the death that makes you realize just how uh, how pointless the whole war is. You did the job, you survived, and then some stray bullet at the end just kind of makes the whole course that character goes through is ends in death. And the original ending of the film actually had none of them surviving.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's they all die, and then there's a ceremony where they're all like eulogized
hmm
and given this heroic character that very few of them actually possessed. Um, and that was toned down, but I still love that the last line of the movie is Charles Bronson's character Vladislav there just saying, "Killing generals could get to be a habit with me," because that's also a statement on this whole movie as well. So
So, how many end up surviving? Is it three of them?
I think it's just I
Is
think
it
it's
just
just Reisman and Vladislav. They're the
yeah,
only two in the hospital at the end, right? So I think they're the only ones that make it.
yeah. That's it's so yeah, it's absolutely brutal. Let's talk a little bit about what this all like how that fits into what's happening in Hollywood in 67
Right,
because this is a year that's often seen as like a turning point from old Hollywood to what will become new Hollywood and sort of reflecting a lot of the anxieties and sensibilities of the country at large. But when you're thinking about that transition, it's movies like um, Bonnie and Clyde, The Graduate,
right. Yeah,
the poster that's behind you, even though it comes out a year later, but Night of the Living
yeah,
Dead. Um, and a bunch of other movies that I'm forgetting the name of right now, like The Wild Bunch, I think comes out around the same time. But
So
like
around the same time. But we
whenever
also get movies like Guess Who's Coming to Dinner and
yeah.
In the Heat of the Night, uh, there's definitely a changing attitude towards both culture and race that's happening right at that moment in time. And Vietnam War it's only in its second year officially,
Hmm.
but we've been in Vietnam since 1955 at that point, and people are pretty sick and tired of
Yeah.
this. There are protests going on everywhere. MLK showing up to anti-war protests, like in San Francisco. Uh, it's definitely a cultural shift away from this sort of respect for authority
Hmm.
that kind of came out of World War II. And now we're starting to question everything, our government, our society, the rules.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. The movies this year compared to 1966 are definitely very interesting films and some great movies
Yeah.
coming out during that time too. I mean, I always think of horror movies, but it wasn't a particularly
Yeah.
great year for horror movies. 1968, and we get things like Night of the Living Dead, Rosemary's Baby, which is John Cassavetes is in, of course,
Hmm.
as well. Like his two big roles in
Yeah.
mainstream films are Dirty Dozen, Rosemary's Baby. But yeah,
Why do
and
you
I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna no, go for it.
Was just thinking, Cassavetes uses this film, and the only reason he took this film was to get enough money to make Faces,
Hmm.
and basically launches the indie film industry,
Yeah.
you know. Uh, so, and that's this time as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, it's everything's about to come to a boil in the
Yeah.
U.S. at this point in time.
The the Cassavetes point is really interesting. Because didn't he hate the script at
Oh
first
yeah,
when he first
he
read
did
it?
not want to be in this movie.
He was like, "This is terrible," and then he
Yeah.
was he was looking at his budget for Faces, and he was like, "Oh, maybe I should be in
I
The Dirty
could.
Dozen." Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think I can't remember who it was. Oh, it was Trini Lopez.
Hmm.
Trini Lopez, who was a singer, very famous singer, but he plays Pedro in Dirty Dozen. He
Hmm.
was like watching the rushes, and he went up to Cassavetes and was like, "I think you're going to get nominated for Best Supporting Actor for this."
Yeah.
Cassavetes was like, "Nah," and ends up, yeah, he's the only person that gets nominated for this
Yeah.
movie.
I mean,
So
he is great in it.
he is.
Yeah, he's wonderful at it. So then with all of that, you know, the Cassavetes of it all, the sort of turning point that we're seeing in Hollywood and America. Um, why do you think this movie doesn't get as much credit or recognition as being a like focal point in that sort of change, in that shift?
Gee, that's a hard question. I don't know. I mean, everybody knows this movie, even if
Hmm.
you don't know what the movie's about. If somebody says The Dirty Dozen, we're talking about a Suicide Squad sort of war film. Um, I think it's, even though it was hugely successful,
Hmm.
it's a year early for that. I think Dirty Dozen comes out in 1968 with a whole bunch of other things that happened in 1968, and it gets a lot more credit for being part of that zeitgeist.
Hmm.
But Aldrich, I think Aldrich knew what kind of film he was making, and like he had somebody come in and rewrite the script. There's on record a big letter that he sent to the producers going, "You guys want to make this film, and that's stupid. Those films are going away. This is the kind of film it needs to be. These are the kind of characters that need to be in there." And he went like bullet points of,
Yeah.
this needs to change. This needs to change. This is not, the world we live in is not the world of 2 years ago. So
Yeah.
he definitely knew what kind of film he wanted to make and the context in which he was making it. But if it comes out in 1968, I think that
Yeah.
changes how well it's thought of.
Yeah, if it comes out sort of after the boom of the 67 movies, um, there's a little bit more context behind it. I also wonder if it's because, like, in some ways, there is a version of this movie that is what the producers wanted, where it is just a kind of rah rah, we're killing Nazis, we're winning the
Yeah,
moral war, all that stuff. It features some old guard faces. Like, I would consider Bronson to still be kind of an old guard face. Obviously, Lee Marvin is an old guard kind of face. He fought in World War II.
yeah,
Um, but then with that, you also have faces like Cassavetes, Donald Sutherland, Jim Brown, who are
yeah,
representing what's to come, but they're
yeah,
more in supporting roles and not necessarily the stars of the movie, right? Like the two guys who survive are the old guard, so it is still
yeah,
kind of in
yeah.
line with like a rah rah. I don't want to say like fully like propaganda-y movie, but a
But
little.
yeah,
It's not like fully anti-war, anti-authority in the way that it could have been if it had come out a year later, or some of the other things that were being made around the same time were.
yeah. No, I agree with that. I think you're absolutely right, and it still has the beats of a war movie as far as the guys, succeed at like the midway, slightly over the midway point when everything's being threatened that
Mhm.
the other colonel, I think, is going to have them disbanded. They're all going to go back to their sentences, and they have that uh, uh, competition basically, where during war maneuvers they're like, if your squad can take out our command post, then yeah, you
Yeah.
get to keep doing this stuff. So that's like a heroic beat. And
Yeah.
then the actual confrontation at the chalet is full of let's kill bad guys, let's block off bad guys, let's have huge explosions because it's an action movie and that's
Yeah.
people love that. So yeah, you're right, it does maintain enough of those sort of popular war movie beats that I think that's they had to put that stuff in to satisfy the producers as well.
Yeah. Do you read this as being anti-war and anti-authority? Because I saw a lot of readings of it that were, but when I was watching it, I felt like it kind of defaulted back to some of the beats of prior war movies in terms of like
Right,
how it was how it progresses, how some of the characters end up acting out. I don't necessarily see their competition in the middle of their training segment with the other squad as being some sort of expression of anti-authority sentiment. I thought
right.
they're just, being soldiers. So to me, it never fully got that way, but I'm curious if you feel like this movie does have elements of being anti-authority and anti-war
Yeah.
in some ways.
Well, I think the key to unlocking whether it's a anti-authority, anti-war movie or not is Reisman's character. I mean, Lee Marvin's character, Reisman,
Mhm,
because he's an officer, but he's an officer that's not respected by the other officers.
mhm,
He's kind of anti-establishment already, and I feel like he's a character who's like, this war is stupid and the people who are running it are stupid. And I'm going to say that. And that's why I'm not a general. And when he gets this crew of reprobates that he's got to move into being into being a squad of actual soldiers, he realizes that the only way to get them to do that is to get them to hate what he already hates,
mhm.
which is the brass.
Yeah,
And so, because he realizes that he's already inside of that as a member of that community gets them to hate him in order to become a cohesive whole. And then he defends them against the other brass to get that transfer of allegiance
Yeah.
over to him. But the entire time he's aware of, I'm trying to mold you guys from wastes of activity, of the human experience into a useful tool of something I don't believe in, not to accomplish the goals of the upper echelon, but to make your deaths mean something. Because he knows they're all going to die.
Yeah.
Odds are very good that he's going to die. But at some point in time, he wants their lives, just the low level grunt lives, to mean something, at least to themselves, before they go. And part of that, all of them dying and them all getting this posthumous, oh, they died in the line of duty. They were, that's part of what he hates, is this mythologizing, this making heroes out of people who did a job just not to be killed.
Yeah. I mean, some of them were legit bad guys.
Oh yeah. I mean, Telly Savalas's character is like straight up evil.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've got him on one side, and then you got Jim Brown on the other side, who's essentially the only really innocent person. He killed people in self-defense.
Yeah.
And just having Jim Brown be the only real heroic character is also subversive at the time.
Yeah.
That poor guy got, like, just being in the movie, he was a target of racist bullshit the entire freaking time. But he stuck with it.
From the NFL for this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is, I mean, I think that was a bad mistake on his owner's part, the team's part. So yeah.
Okay. I feel like this is a good point for us to talk about the cast, because we're already sort of getting into some of the different characters and stuff. But this is like absolutely stacked in terms of a cast. Do you have a favorite performance or favorite member of the Dirty Dozen?
Yeah, I mean, they're all good, especially what they called the front six, the named characters. The two characters that stood out to me this particular time around was Donald Sutherland. He's just a minor character. And initially, his character only had one line, and that line was "Number 2, sir."
Yeah.
And that was his only line. But my other favorite character, Clint Walker's Posey.
Is that the big guy?
Yeah. He was supposed to do the general bit where they pose as a general, and he refused to do it because he felt like his character, it was demeaning to his character to be this goofy, stupid character. So Aldrich just like looks down the table, points at Sutherland, says, "You got a good face. You do this bit."
Yeah.
And so he gets to do that great comedic scene with him pretending to be a general. And one of my favorite lines in the whole movie, "Where are you from?"
So-and-so.
Never heard of it. I love that. And that scene, that scene got him, Ingo Preminger, the producer on MASH, saw that scene and cast him in MASH based on that scene. So without this kind of confluence of events, does he become a star?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
So that scene made him a star. Without the guy who played Posey, refusing to do that scene, we would have never gotten the movie Phone Booth.
Or the show 24. Yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
we'll let people make the connections in there.
Yeah. But Posey, like, I don't remember even paying attention to that character. I know he was a Western actor. He had a show called Cheyenne. I was watching this movie and I'm like, this guy should have freaking played Superman.
Yeah.
He looks like he looks like John Hamm, but with Arnold Schwarzenegger's muscles.
Yeah.
But but I thought he was great in this too.
But
So
yeah, and bigger than Arnold Schwarzenegger, because
yeah,
Schwarzenegger's not that tall.
yeah, this guy's 6'6".
Yeah, I was waiting for there to be a shot between of him, like a two shot of him and Jim Brown, just to get a size comparison. Because Jim
Yeah,
Brown, big guy, but I think
yeah,
the dude who played Posey would tower over him.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
get
Clint
that guy.
Walker.
Yeah, let that dude play defensive end or tight end or something.
Yeah,
He would have been
yeah, yeah,
unstoppable.
absolutely. And he was like quarter Cherokee, I think.
Hmm.
So he was, he played a Native American character in that TV show, and they had a scene in the movie where he did a rain dance,
Hmm.
set up a rain dance for the guys, but they cut it. So
Yeah, those are two great answers. On the topic of stature, Charles Bronson, short king.
yeah, yeah, right. I don't know how tall he is actually,
Yeah.
but I mean they have the scene with him and Charles Bronson beating up Cassavetes,
Hmm.
right? And he doesn't seem that much shorter than Jim Brown.
Yeah, but I feel like whenever he has a very short face, and whenever he pops up on screen, you're like, that's a tiny
Yeah,
guy. That's a little dude. It must have just been the way whatever they set up the angles in a way that
yeah,
were flattering for him, because I assume that Jim Brown towers over
right. He's got to
Charles
be
Bronson.
bigger
Yeah.
than most of those
Um,
actors. Yeah.
yeah. For me, I was also very partial to the babyface Donald Sutherland in this, because
Yeah.
I can't remember watching this, but I forgot that he was in this. I didn't remember that he was in it or realize that he was in it, and
Yeah.
he is so delightful. And then I realized later in the movie what it was. He has the Josh O'Connor ears. He has really big ears, and Josh O'Connor had a great year last year, and
uh,
I'm really, digging him and the stuff that he's doing. And I realized that's why I love Donald Sutherland. But he's also very charming in his own right.
yep. And
Yeah.
that reminded me that that's actually how Aldrich called him out. It was like, you with the ears.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, an absolutely great cast. Yeah, and we spoke about how sort of you've got some from the old guard and then some from the new guard, and how it's sort of crossing over and interplaying with each other, both like in the movie itself and um, just sort of from our knowledge of who all these figures are in real life
Yeah.
and what they bring to the table and brought to the table. Do you have anything
I
else
love,
oh, sorry.
I just going, one of the stories is that Savalas and Bronson hated each other apparently.
Yeah.
Like they actually got into physical altercations on the set, and it's just over, from what I understand, over how they approach. Like Bronson's a preparation guy.
Hmm.
Like he makes sure that he's got all his lines down. He knows where the blocking is. He's ready to go and do what he needs. And Savalas is maybe I'll say the lines as they're written. Maybe I won't. We'll see what happens. And yeah, they never worked together again after this. So
Didn't Bronson also hate Marvin?
at the start, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely, and in part because I think because Marvin was always he volunteered for the Marines in World War II, so he
Hmm.
was always very proud of being a Marine, and it was important to him. And Bronson was anti-authority. I mean, he was definitely didn't give a crap about positions based on titles alone, sort of thing. So yeah,
Yeah.
but from what I understand, he won him over because he was very even-handed with
Hmm.
everybody. And also, I think part of it might have been that Marvin was drunk most of the time.
Yeah, that's what I had read, was that there were a few times where Marvin was shit-faced, and that does not sound in line with Bronson's desire to be prepared and ready to go and
Yeah.
all that
Yep.
stuff. Which is also funny that he had that aspect, but was also anti-authority.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. What?
which again is like the movie itself, where it's balancing both of these things and both of these ideas, where it's anti-authority, but it also kind of leans into it. Um, it's also kind of hard to be like fully anti-war and anti-authority and sort of poking holes into the mythology of war when the final mission is killing Nazis. Like, again, that's something that we all agree is a good thing.
Yep,
So
it's
just by
true.
that nature, it becomes easier to make movies that are questioning the morality and the mythologizing of war when it's like our involvement in Vietnam and things like that, and all the wars that we've had since. Uh,
Yeah,
but with fighting Nazis, it's just
I know.
we
It
always have
feels,
the high ground.
but killing men and women was, I think that was the taboo. It was like, well,
Yeah.
they're just the wives or mistresses or prostitutes or whatever
Hmm.
of these guys, but they didn't treat them any different than the Nazis.
Yeah.
The only people who get any sort of break at all are the French staff,
Yeah.
right?
Kill the
So
Germans, feed the French.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a great line. But
Yeah.
yeah, so they do. They're like, yes, we killed Nazis and
Mhm.
probably innocent women at the same time, burned alive in a
Yeah.
basement.
Which is probably like the first time or among the first time or one of the first big examples of a movie sort of dealing with the idea that like, oh yeah, maybe Germans and Nazis aren't just like one big bad monolith.
Right,
And the idea that yeah, there are some just like normal people, normal civilians who probably don't deserve the same fate that the highest SS officials deserve.
right,
And this movie doesn't get into it, but there's also like the question within some war movies of Nazis have moms too, um, where where
right. Yeah, yeah,
you're killing Nazis, but at the end of the day, like they are also people with some semblance of humanity, even though they stand for the most evil thing in the world.
yeah.
Which again, I don't think that this movie is like fully grappling with that question.
No, no,
Um,
no.
but like you said, with the killing of civilians and of women and stuff like that,
And
it's definitely bringing
like
up the
there's
question
no
more beyond that.
guarantee.
Yeah,
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that they've killed top brass. There's
yeah,
no guarantee that it means anything in the war. They even say that at the beginning. Like maybe you kill a couple of high ranking generals, maybe you don't. Maybe it has an effect on the war, maybe it doesn't. Those are the kind of decisions that the brass makes that that Marvin's character is like, this is why war is horrible, because you get to make these decisions about real people
hmm,
that they're just pawns on a game, a chessboard to you, that may or may not, the sacrifice may or may not be meaningful, but to him they're actually real people. And yeah, some of them, most of them, all of them are bad people, but they're still people. And
hmm,
one of the things I think that this movie gets across, because we end up caring for most of these characters and actually caring when they die,
hmm,
is that even somebody who does something bad can be redeemed by becoming something more than what they were. Like given
yeah,
the opportunity to be something other than a thug or a
hmm,
rapist or a murderer or whatever, that
hmm,
even people who have done bad things can do good with their lives if they're given the opportunity.
yeah.
So,
Which I don't want to say it's uniquely American, but that does feel like a very distinctly American kind of sensibility. The idea of
right.
loving second chances for people. Um, while you were talking, this randomly popped into my mind. But isn't there a line where Marvin's character is sort of talking about how, and I think it's specifically Jim Brown's character, but maybe also the whole group generally, where he's like, these guys don't have any issues with the Germans. They have issues with you know the generals and stuff who have made all these rules and like have actually been um negatively impacting their lives. Like they don't care about the Krauts. Like how am I going to make them hate the Germans? Um,
Yeah.
which is a really interesting thing. And like obviously with the Jim Brown character specifically, and again thinking about when this movie came out, the sentiment that was going on in the country around Vietnam. Um,
Yeah.
there's the famous Muhammad Ali quote where he's like, you know, no Viet
Yeah.
Cong ever called me the N word. Um,
Yeah.
so that's like a really interesting dynamic too of like now we're, you know, we think, okay, yeah, Germans, Nazis, bad. We all don't like them. We want to kill them. But like to these characters, they mean nothing.
Right. Yeah. 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 Like, yeah, the Nazis didn't put them in jail.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know? Yeah. So, absolutely, absolutely. And I think part of it is transference. They don't
Mhm,
even talk about that, but I know that Aldrich talked about that in going over the script that Reisman needs to get them to transfer their
mhm,
hate first to him, and
mhm,
then to, but there's still, it's all based on, you know, they never explicitly say this, but part of one of the reasons why they're okay with going and shooting or murdering these Nazis is
mhm.
because they're all officers.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, like if it was
yeah,
just a bunch of grunts, would they be as gung ho about it? Probably
no,
not, right? That just
yeah.
is, they're in the same shit that they're in.
But I mean, that
So,
goes to Bronson's last line of the movie.
yes,
Yeah. Uh,
that's such a great line. Yeah.
yeah. What, yeah, makes it all anti-authority. So we're talking about how the movie's like balancing all these different things, um, old guard, new guard, pro-war, anti-war, all that stuff. Another thing that it balances pretty well is uh, action and humor. How do you feel about how it is that humor is sort of incorporated into the story? Because it's surprisingly very funny.
It is pretty funny. It is pretty funny. I think that was just generally required of films at that time, though.
Mhm.
Like you got to leave in the action with, and then you've got characters like Cassavetes that are just like so in your face and over the top, or like Donald Sutherland's, like part of my joy of watching the film this time was to watch what kind of face Donald Sutherland was making in the background,
Yeah.
because it ranged from just like like most slack jawed, stupidest, what the hell's happening sort of look to just sly. You know, it
Yeah.
was great. He was awesome, but it's all kind of this dark sense of humor of being people threatened with death, either, you know, from where they are already or where they're going.
Yeah.
That was my watch doing a Mickey Mouse
Does
voice.
that make you
Uh, so it was, yeah, I almost feel like it was an afterthought
Mhm.
in the script, but the characters, the actors made it so good. So yeah, that whole pretend to be a general scene is just crazy. That's so good. It makes me laugh every time. The look on their faces, and even, I mean, to go for, like, to show how the actors did. There's a bit at the beginning of that scene where the colonel keeps coming out and the band starts up. I'm like, it's funny, but it's like, you know, slapstick. Hey, this is funny, right? Huh? Sort of thing. And then you get Donald Sutherland doing his bit, and you're like, oh, now this is funny. Now this is, yeah. So I think a lot of the characters imparted, a lot of the actors imparted their self themselves into those bits, and that's what made them funny.
I do love um the part where where they keep playing the music and then have to start over again. But yeah, that scene is hilarious. And it's almost like you're saying, it's the humor is sort of really just like it's like natural and it's not forced. It's just kind of what happens when you have that many great talents on screen and great presences. They're just gonna at some point naturally be kind of funny. Uh Bob, I have a few more. I think we'll go like sort of rapid fire for these last couple of questions. And then if there's
Okay.
anything else that that you
Did,
want to bring up before recommendations.
just one last bit on the humor. I did kind of give short shrift to the script as far as this goes, but the chant that they have to do to figure out what their, the
Oh, the
order
steps. Yeah.
Donald Duck is at the gate.
Yeah.
That's genius. I'm sorry.
It's
Okay.
it's so funny. Um, so doesn't someone have a date too?
Yes, I can't remember the chant.
Is it Falco who has a date? We'll remember it, or we
Yeah, I
won't.
think it might be Falco has a date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so for first rapid fire question, um, kind of similar to a movie that we spoke about previously, Bridge Over the River Kwai. Um, it's a war movie, but it's also kind of a prison movie. How what how much do we consider this a prison movie, or is it not that much? Is it still mostly a war movie?
I think it's mostly a war movie. If you want to do another a more prison movie, you can do Longest Yard. That's another Aldrich film in the
Mm,
1970s, and
yeah,
that's specifically a prison film. This is
yeah,
a little more, this is like an A team sort of
yeah.
movie where we're going from zero to hero sort of things,
Well,
training them.
if we're assigning percentages, this is maybe 90% war, 10% prison movie. Bridge
Yeah,
Over River Kwai is maybe closer to 60-40.
yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And only because we keep going to other characters who are not in the
Yeah.
prison. Yeah, yeah.
Uh, um, okay. One of my random notes at the end in that big action sequence, it always delights me whenever I see this, and it's totally a lost art in filmmaking. Is there anything better than a stunt guy getting shot and falling from the highest point of a building to a second level, and then from the second level rolling over onto the floor, onto the ground?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. That's awesome. Yeah, some great stunts in this as
Yeah.
well. So yeah, a lot of people flinging themselves from explosions and
Yeah, or a guy getting shot and then jumping out of a second-story window.
yep. Yeah, a lot of Nazi snipers go through windows in that particular
Yeah.
scene.
There's the guy in the bell tower who gets shot, and then his helmet dings the bell, which to me was
Yes.
in talking about humor, that is
Yeah.
one of the funniest things I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Yep, that's a good one. Oh my
So
god, yeah.
silly. Yeah, we need to bring that back. There are not enough stunt guys who, get shot in the side, fall over, and then roll over.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, they're all the gags got to be so serious now, and they
Yeah,
used to get bits
yeah.
back in the day, and now they don't get bits.
I There's still a lot of great stunt work. We love all the stunt work in like the John Wicks and
Oh yeah,
what Tom Cruise does in Mission Impossible. But yeah, like you're saying, give us something a little over the top. Um, yeah. Why are people always? I guess it's mostly in westerns where there's always someone on top of a building who gets shot
yeah,
and has to fall down.
yep, yep.
But
Rolls over so you can see their face.
yeah,
So yeah,
so funny.
yep.
Okay, and then this is my last rapid fire question, which I think will lead us really into um, recommendations.
Okay,
But thinking about like the legacy of this movie, and for me, while watching this, I know that Tarantino often says that The Great Escape is one of his favorite movies and like influenced a lot of what he did. But Inglorious Bastards has the Dirty Dozen written
oh hell
all
yeah,
over it,
oh yeah, absolutely, totally agree
especially
with that.
when you get to the chateau at the end of the Dirty Dozen. I was like, this is just like Tarantino literally just ripped this,
Right.
which I guess is kind of his whole shtick is he just rips things directly from other movies. Um,
It's like jazz. He's just riffing on
yeah,
other compositions. So
it's always funny going back and watching those movies that he is clearly ripping from or riffing on, and
yeah.
realizing, oh,
Oh,
that's
he really, really liked this movie. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Everything from, I mean, there's the beginning, there's that opening scene where Reisman is meeting the dozen and walking down.
Yeah.
and meeting them one by one. And that's like the same introduction that we get to the bastards.
Yeah.
It-
I mean, it's a genius introduction. Why
yeah.
not? Why not repeat it? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, awesome. Do you, Bob, have anything else on the Dirty Dozen before we sort of take its legacy and maybe parlay that into some recommendations?
Right. Um, God, I think most of the stories that I had in there, the only weird thing is that a lot of these these actors were in other movies together, but like Ernest Borgnine, Clint Walker, George Kennedy, and Jim Brown were all in a movie in the 1990s together featuring soldiers.
Ooh,
It's Joe Dante's Small Soldiers.
yeah,
They provided voices for some of the characters, so
yeah.
I thought that was super fun. That was actually Clint Brown, the guy who played Posey's last movie. So
Damn, I was considering having Small Soldiers as a recommendation, but yeah, I'm happy that you brought that up, because that is an interesting little tidbit.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, sort of like on the topic of legacy, and I don't know that we'll end up recommending a lot of these movies, but this sort of does birth the whole subgenre of, like, you're talking about like the A Team and stuff like that, where
yeah,
and the Suicide Squad sort of subgenre of movies where you're
absolutely.
taking this ragtag team and making them heroes. This I have to assume this is one of the earliest, if not the earliest, example that we're really
I
getting.
agree. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think it actually is. Yeah, the first example in
yeah,
cinema of this
yeah.
sort of thing. We should probably just mention that it's based on a book called The
Hmm.
Dirty Dozen. That name of the author escapes me at the moment. Um, E.M. Nathanson. I
Okay.
had to look it up.
Yeah.
So, and that was based on like stories that he heard about a group of prisoners who got commandeered into a squad to be sent on a suicide mission. And he spent years, like 4 years, trying to find evidence for this. And he found individual stories and
Hmm.
individual people, but he never could track down the actual group. And it wasn't until well after the book and the movie came out that stories about something called the Filthy 13,
Mm,
a squad of guys came out, and you can look that sort of thing up now. But it was literally based on a friend of a friend story of things he'd heard about in the war.
yeah.
So
Nice. Filthy 13 doesn't have the same ring to it.
it doesn't. It sounds more like a Tarantino film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it it does indeed.
You other just little bits like we talked a bit about the movies that came out that year and some of the great films that came out, but that was also like the first time there was a strike with the AFTRA, which became part of the SAG-AFTRA
Hmm.
union, but they were separate at that time. That's American Federation of Television Radio Artists were on strike
Hmm.
at the beginning of that year. So there was almost no Academy Award uh,
Ooh.
broadcast that year. Like the day before they
Yeah.
settled, they settled the strike for that year. Thurgood Marshall got assigned to the Supreme Court that year. John McCain was shot down in Vietnam
Oh wow.
in '67. Corporation for Public Broadcasting was created in '67. And just randomly, because of weirdness,
Hmm.
the Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot film was shot in 1967. So,
It was 67 was a year.
yeah,
Um, yeah. I mean, 67, 68, 69 were that's probably like one of the most consequential runs of like any 3 year span in US history. There was
right.
just so much happening. Artistically, culturally, uh politically, socially, just across the board.
Yeah.
There was stuff happening. I always I've been trying to be better about recommending albums what for these, and I couldn't think of anything that I could connect to this movie. So I was like, what came out in 67? Maybe I can
Yeah.
just find some sort of connection there. And I'm not going to recommend any of these, but like Sergeant Pepper came out in 67, which
That was on my
totally,
list of things. Yeah.
yeah, totally changed, pop music forever.
Yeah.
Jimi
Yeah.
Hendrix had Are You Experienced and Axis Bold of Love come out in
Yeah.
67. The Doors had two albums come out. The Velvet Underground had their album uh,
Yeah.
come out. Like, absolutely just insane stuff is happening across the board.
Across the board. Yeah, absolutely. Didn't the Beatles have another album that came out that year? Yeah,
Um,
Magical Mystery Tour came out at the end of the year.
oh, I'm not a big Magical Mystery Tour guy.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, there's some good songs on that,
Yeah. Is that like
it's
I Am
not
the
the best.
Walrus and Yellow Submarine?
Uh,
Or,
Love, Love, Love is on that.
yeah.
I don't know what else. I can't remember. But Sergeant Pepper's is just so, you
Yeah.
know,
I'm not the
groundbreaking.
biggest fan of like full psychedelic Beatles.
Yeah.
But I'm more of a
Yeah.
Rubber Soul kind of guy.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
hear that.
And obviously like Abbey Road is kind of a perfect album.
Yeah.
Not even kind of, it's a perfect album.
It's a perfect album. Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about the Beatles here.
Yeah. Yeah. Wrong podcast for that. So
Let's should we get into some recommendations?
let's do it.
Sweet. All right, Bob, whenever you're ready, what is your first recommendation for The Dirty Dozen?
All right. So first recommendation for the Dirty Dozen is directly related in that the director is the same, but I'm trying to connect horror into everything that I do a little bit anyway. So I'm going in 1962. Aldrich directed Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. Probably the first example of what ended up being called like psycho biddy horror or hagsploitation horror. That was Betty Davis and Joan Crawford playing former Betty Davis being a former child star, Joan Crawford playing her disabled, successful actress sister, and how they kind of go crazy in an old house and murder, etc. follows. It's a fun, crazy movie. Resurrected both their careers, and they had horrible fights together on that became part of the tabloids, and they were both cast in another hagsploitation movie that Aldrich did called Hush Hush Sweet Charlotte, but Joan Crawford bowed out, and that was the last of those sets of films that they did together. So it's a great little trashy horror movie from the early 60s and well made. Highly recommended.
I've heard good things. I think I need to add that to the watch list, which is just I'm always saying it's the ever growing watch list. Although because we took a little bit of a break between Canon seasons, I was able to catch up on some movies on the watch list, which was kind of nice.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna do a movie for my first recommendation. And honestly, the only connection is gathering a group of 12 to do something. I really wanted to stick with the dozen motif, so I'm gonna go with Ocean's 12 because
nice.
Yeah, and you know what? I always want to say it, but I never get to say it. I absolutely adore the Julia Roberts bit in that movie. I think it is hilarious, and I think more movies should take advantage of that. I think it's so funny.
I love I unironically love those movies. I know they're not all in the same level of quality, but they're great and enjoyable films.
Super fun.
So,
Great cast.
Yeah,
just fun hang.
Yeah, absolutely. Great recommendation. That's awesome. That's fantastic. All right. And now I want to watch that again. Maybe I'll watch them all again. It's been a while. So
Yeah,
write them
why not?
down. All right. For my second recommendation, I kind of went through a process to get there.
Okay,
So,
let's hear it.
and so, so I started out thinking I want to do something with Lee Marvin again. And like the very next year, he was in a movie that was an adaptation of a novel called The Hunter by it was Donald Westlake writing as Richard Stark,
Hmm.
and it was the first book of the Parker series of novels. Those have been made into many movies over the years, but I think this was the first one. It was called Point Blank,
Mm,
and it was directed by John Boorman. It was his first film,
hmm.
and I was like, oh, I'm going to do this. It's got Lee Marvin, Angie Dickinson, Carol O'Connor's in this. Shot at Alcatraz. It's got lots of stuff. And then while I was looking that up, I realized I saw that another Parker movie had been made that same year. It was The Split,
Hmm.
which was based on a completely different novel. And that was based on a novel called The Seventh, but Jim Brown played Parker, or the Parker character in that, and Ernest Borgnine and Donald Sutherland were in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. I've never seen that movie either, and I feel like I
Hmm.
should. Don Westlake didn't let them use the name Parker. Like any movies that he didn't like, they had to
Yeah.
use a different character name. So I can't remember what I think he was Walker in Point Blank. But anyway, I'm like going through this, and then finally I'm like, all I have is just movies, but I want to do like a Parker thing now. And oh yeah, in the early 2000s, artist named Darwin Cook did an adaptation of The Hunter.
Hmm.
Um, uh,
Nice. I love when
and
you bring
he was
props.
yeah, that's so he's a really exceptional artist. It was a really exceptional artist.
Hmm.
It was the only time Donald Westlake allowed an adaptation to use the name Parker. He liked it so much, though he died before the book came out. Whole series of adaptations by Darwin Cook came out, like 3 or 4 of the novels. Can't recommend them highly enough. They're great. And yeah, that's my second recommendation.
I love that. That's amazing. I've heard Point Blank is amazing. I've been meaning to watch it forever. There were some screenings going around of it in the New York City area that I was trying to get to with a buddy and just never got around to it. So hopefully there's another opportunity
Yeah.
where I can check that out because I've only heard great things. But that book series sounds awesome and looks rad. If you're not watching us on YouTube, um, go over to the Screen Age Wasteland YouTube page so you can see Bob always brings visual aids for us, which is super nice. No one else does it. I don't know why, but it's always great when you do. Um, for my last two recommendations, I'm gonna go very Jim Brown heavy because
Yeah.
I don't think there are any other movies featuring Jim Brown in the canon. So this is really my only opportunity to do so. And the first of those two, which is going to be my second recommendation, which I got to say is maybe going to be my favorite recommendation that I've ever done.
Oh man.
So Jim Brown, obviously before he was an actor, was an amazing, incredible football player. Before he was one of the best NFL running backs, he was one of the best collegiate running backs and also a great college lacrosse player at Syracuse University, which is
Seriously.
also where I went. So I'm gonna give some love to SU, and I'm gonna recommend a restaurant called Varsity Pizza, and it's just like a dinky little pizza place that's kind of by the Carrier Dome in the stadium where they play football and basketball and lacrosse. Um, they have this sandwich called the Humdinger, which is basically it's like It's like a fried chicken cutlet that they then dip into buffalo sauce, and it is the best thing ever. Like you get it after a game, you get that and like a beer, and you're hanging out. Great time. I think it's been around forever, so like Jim Brown may have also gone to
Oh,
this
wow.
place. But yeah, if you're ever visiting Syracuse and Syracuse University, the one food item that you have to get is a humdinger sandwich from Krusty Pizza.
That's amazing. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That has to be one of the best recs that's ever been made on the show. Cause I mean, oh my God.
Deeply personal one for me. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, I've driven by Syracuse a couple of times, but now I have a reason to go.
Yeah.
So,
Stop and get that sandwich.
humdinger.
You will need some Tums after you eat the
Yeah.
sandwich for sure, but it's worth it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The humdinger. That's fantastic.
So last thing about it, I think they still do it, but there's typically like when you order one, you order at the front and then they yell back into the kitchen and they always go humdinger. So
That's
still a
fantastic.
thing between me and all my college buddies. We just randomly will yell humdinger to each other.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
A insight into younger Raph. That's fantastic. I can't follow that. What I'm not gonna.
I should have saved it for the third, but I was too excited.
So excited about it. That's awesome. Yeah. Everything after this, just FYI, is going to be,
It's a
little downhill.
But I have faith that you'll have a great third recommendation.
Third recommendation. I was trying to think of a modern sort of Dirty Dozen / Suicide Squad sort of movie without it being Suicide Squad, because it just seemed like the most obvious thing. So I'm sure there are more, but when I was thinking of the last movie that kind of follows this sort of pattern of getting together a disparate group of reprobates to do some sort of heroic mission and none of them survive sort of thing. The only thing that I could think of was Star Wars Rogue One.
Ooh, nice.
Probably the last Star Wars movie I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic movie. It's bizarre that it came together so well considering its troubled production history, but it's a great movie about a ragtag group of people who shouldn't be heroes but manage to save the day at the end, and nobody's left standing. It's a fantastic Star Wars film, and if you haven't seen it, I urge you to do so.
Nice. I got to revisit that movie because I remember loving it. And then there was like a period of time, at least for me, where it was like cool to not love it that much.
Right.
But I want to revisit it and see how much I appreciate it. Did you watch Andor? Because people say that.
Oh my God, I love
Andor. Like leading into Rogue One is just like the best little chunk of Star Wars content out there.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it does. If you watch Andor first and go and watch Rogue One, Rogue One's going to come out a little lower than Andor as far as the quality goes. So I would revisit the movie first and then watch
rewatch
the prequel.
Yeah,
but it's Andor is so good, man.
It's funny that Andor is a prequel that leads directly into a movie that is a prequel to the original movie.
Yeah,
and like Rogue One ends. And then that's just the beginning of A New Hope.
Yeah.
So Andor ends, and that's just the beginning of Rogue One.
Yep.
That's awesome.
It's fantastic.
I love that. Let's squeeze it all in as tightly as possible.
Yep.
Yeah. We've got this vast galaxy, this vast all these stories that we can tell, and let's do like a 2-week span.
Yeah.
And squeeze as much out of that as possible.
This all happened between April 1st and May 1st. So
or May 4th.
Or May 4th. Good call.
May the 4th be with you.
And also with you to pull my Catholic upbringing.
Yeah. my brain goes to the same place though, as
Yeah.
someone who spent a good amount of time in Catholic churches. Yeah, may the fourth be with you, and also with you. Yeah, but I think they changed it for now
Yeah,
when you
they
offer
have.
people
Yeah.
which is startling and all that. If you
Yeah.
grew up going to church one way and then you take a break and then go back, but all of that is neither here nor there.
Yeah, we got distracted.
Okay, so for my third and final recommendation, this is also connected to Jim Brown. In some ways, not as fun as the restaurant near the Syracuse University campus. But obviously, we know Jim Brown was like a huge figure in civil rights movements um, throughout the 60s, throughout his like playing days and after his playing days. Um, Also worth noting, just while talking about Jim Brown, that like many people from, yesteryear, he too has a complicated legacy where he did a lot of good work, but he also had a lot of personal demons and was not a good guy in a lot of ways. Specifically with like how he treated women, and like I think he has um, their accusations and allegations of like I think physical abuse. I don't know if it's sexual abuse, but just like domestic abuse with partners. So just want to make sure that we that we recognize that and not just
It's a complex individual. Yeah.
yeah. People have complicated legacies, and that's totally fine and normal to acknowledge all parts of that. Um, but he did a lot of good work on the civil rights front. And there's a book that's not specifically about him, but he is a figure in it. And the book is mainly about like the context behind what happened with Colin Kaepernick and like how that all played out. But it sort of goes through the history from Jackie Robinson through Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Muhammad Ali, through like OJ and everything that he did, and then like Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, and then like the modern uh you know black athlete in America and how they all
Right.
relate to social issues versus just like being sports figures and what they do outside of that. Really interesting book. It's called The Heritage. If anyone is interested in reading about sort of like the history of black athletes and how it is that they relate to like the world around them beyond being athletes, really interesting read. And Jim Brown does play, or he is a character in that book. So I think it's a super interesting read. It's not as fun as eating a humdinger or watching Rogue One, but still interesting. if
Yeah. No, very much so.
Yeah,
It's going on the list for sure. So,
by Howard Bryant, I think is the
Howard Bryant.
author's name. He's a pretty good sports writer, and I do have it on this bookshelf behind me, so I could have brought a prop, but it's too far away. It's all the way back there, so
Yeah. It's awkward.
you'll have to trust me that it's there.
I believe you.
Sweet. Well, Bob, thank you for joining. This has been so much
Yeah.
fun talking the Dirty Dozen. We hit it all from
Yeah.
Star Wars to Catholicism to the Beatles to watching movies on TBS.
Yeah. Yep. This is one of the few times that we've gone through where I'm like, we've hit every one of my notes.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
We got it all. Yeah. Screenagers. Obviously, you can continue to check us out on the website. You can check out all Bob's writings, Fear Flashback Friday, and all the rest. I think you have some reviews that have gone up fairly recently. We don't know when this is coming out, so they're
Yep. Yeah, there's definitely stuff coming, and we've got stuff coming up this year too, celebrating some anniversaries for Saw.
yeah.
So I'm looking forward to. I don't know if you're working on your 100 favorite movies list, but I'm sure working on mine. So
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Oof, too much work.
I know. Yeah.
Putting way too much effort into that, and thinking through it and reordering stuff, but it is quite a fun exercise.
Yeah.
So yeah, that should be coming soon if it's not out already. But otherwise, on the website, we've got all of your, all of the expected, things and articles and whatnot, lists and reviews and games and questions and all that fun stuff. You can chat with Bob there. You can chat with me there. You can chat with the rest of our Saw contributors and the other screenagers who frequent the comment section there. Um, and you can obviously also check out the Canon podcast uh, on the website, as well as wherever it is that you're catching us now, whether that's Apple or Spotify. Um, throw us a like, throw us some 5-star reviews. It helps us continue to pump out episodes. Or you can check us out on our YouTube page, Screenage, youtube.com/at Saw Podcast or at Screenage Podcast. I should probably know that. I'm sorry that I
You
don't.
probably should.
But just go to YouTube and search Screenage Wasteland and you'll find us. Search the Canon, you'll find us. All of our episodes are there. You can, continue to hang out with us here, as well as all the other great, Saw vids and podcast content that we've got there. You've got Pole Position from Jacob, and you've got Jacob's Weekend Wrap, and you've got Val doing tons of Saw exclusive interviews. You've got Dahlgren doing his old school movie reviews, which are super fun, and everything else. So continue to hang out with us here or wherever it is that you like to hang with us. We will be back next week with another essential movie. Bob might be back, might not be back for that one. Might be back another week. We shall see.
We'll be back eventually.
Eventually, we'll see him again. And Screenagers, we will see you all again there. And as always, in the meantime, we'll see all of you guys in the wasteland.